I wanted to record this while it was fresh in my mind. I talked to Obie Obrien today, and he was telling me a bunch of stories about the warehouse recording studio. One thing he told me is he and Lance Quinn, when they first rented the building there from Seymour Rubin, the rent was $500 a month, and that was it. And it went to $750, and then it went to $1250. And Seymour Rubin told Obie and Lance they could stay as long as they want, and that would be the rent, and they don't have to ever pay anything more than that. So that was very nice of Seymour. Obie said there was only two people in his life that really changed his life, and one was his music teacher, and the other one was Seymour Rubin. And Obie used to go out to lunches and dinners with Seymour even after the studio was sold and all that. So they always were good friends. But he passed away a few years ago. The other thing he told me about Seymour Rubin that I didn't know, when one of the guys from RPM, and he said not Al, so it had to be Michael, wanted to buy a house for him and his wife, but they couldn't afford it. Seymour Rubin bought the house and took the mortgage over, and they all they had to do was pay him. So he took the burden off of them so they could afford to get the house, which was very nice. The other thing I talked to Obie about, I said, wasn't it the warehouse recording studio, the one flaw was when it rained? And he said, yeah, if it rained really hard, you couldn't record because the you could hear the rain. But he said most times they could go in ISO booths and they would be fine. So that was kind of an interesting thing. The other thing he told me, when they sold the studio to John and Nancy, John Moyer and what was her name? Nancy. Oh, I forgot her last name now. But anyways, they sold all the gear inside of it, and that money, Lance and Obie paid off all their loans. And Obie and Lance were sitting on the stoop in front of the place when it was finally sold. And Obie said he had maybe $300 in his bank account. And Lance, who produced most of those Bon Jovi records, he had more money, but he got hit hard too. And Lance said, well, what are you going to do? And he said, I don't know. He said, let's go down to my airplane. We're going to fly down to Graceland, see Graceland, and then from there we're going to fly down to the Keys and go snorkeling. So that's what they did. But Obie had nothing lined up. He didn't know where he was going to make any money. The funny thing is, John Bon Jovi and his wife Dorothea invited Obie up to the house in New Jersey for dinner. And by the end of the dinner, both of them told him he didn't have to worry about money ever, and he had a job with them, and he was going to be fine for the rest of his life. And ever since then, Obie's been working for John Bon Jovi. It's like 43 years now, something like that. The other topic that came up is Abbey Road Studios. Obie's been there a bunch of times, and he said he's really good friends with the studio manager. It's a lady by the name of Fiona. He said when he went into Studio 2, first thing he did is he kissed the ground on Studio 2 because he just knew everybody that was that recorded in there, and they were all legends. So it was a nice conversation. But Obie was just calling in to check up on me and see how my health is and how I'm doing and all that. So I think that was everything. Oh, I did ask him when they opened up the warehouse recording studio. He said 1983. And I asked him what was in the TechCom building, it was right next to the 1020 building where TechCom was. And he said there was nothing in there. Seymour Rubin spent most of his money in the building on the other side of 1030. And he said he spent like millions of dollars getting that up and running. So it was all office space. But the TechCom building wasn't, there was nobody in there. And I started working there in 87, and that was like May of 87. And I think they were in there for like 6 months. So I think they moved in there in 1986. So, the other thing, when Led Zeppelin was in the warehouse recording studio, Obie was there, and he talked to Jimmy Page, and Jimmy Page said their live room for drums was fantastic. And he said he's never heard a room that sounded that great. And Obie was saying that the way they designed that room with the curved wall, the drum sounds in there sounded incredible. And he says he still has some old tapes that he had to mix, and he heard the room mics, and it just he forgot how great that room sounded. That room was a really fantastic sounding room. So I think that was everything that he told me. But I just wanted to make this note so I don't forget any of this.